Whenever you're ready, Zach.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zach Bowman, and I started a group called Be More Motivated. I noticed that 66% of the Baltimore City public school system are graduating on time. That leaves the 33 and change percent that is not graduating on time. And the Maryland average graduation rate is 83%. So that means that a significantly lower amount of the inner city school students are not graduating on time. I went in school in the Baltimore City public school system from grades 1 through 12. So I'm a complete product of the school system. I had a friend back in middle school. His name was DeMonte. Him and I have always had a friendly competition for our grades, and it seemed like one semester he'd be on top, and then the next semester I'd be on top. And at the end of 8th grade year, I came out just a little bit on top and just barely beat him, GPA-wise. Him and I ended up going to two different high schools. I went to Deal Harbor. He went to Poly, which is right down the street. And I haven't really talked to him in a couple years. So junior year of high school, I contacted him. I found him on Facebook, asked him how he was doing. And he told me he had dropped out of high school. And he said that high school wasn't for him. So that kind of hit me in a weird way, because I didn't understand how high school could not be for him. He was one of the smartest kids I know, if not smarter than me. So it just struck me as odd that he would say that. Turns out he just works at a local grocery store giant, and that's what he has been doing. I'm not sure about recently, but a couple years ago, as I checked. So my program, Be More Motivated, it not only helps students graduate high school, as most programs do now. They usually just try to tutor you and get you through the system. My program helps start at a young age, all through high school, and provides examples of people who come from similar backgrounds, struggle financially, family matters, and become successful in life. So what I would like you to help me do is provide the funding to pay for speakers to come to schools and speak to students, to motivate them on an intrinsic level, so they're not just going through the motions. When they go home, they're in maybe a broken home, or poverty, or basically the vicious cycle that everyone gets sucked into, the Baltimore City public school system. And we want to get them out of that in the most genuine way possible, and that is through motivation. So what we can do is provide that using the resources in the public schools. Thank you, and together we can be more motivated. Okay, that was really scary.
Should I just start? Hi, good morning. My name is Ji-Yoon Kim, and I'm here to talk about the orphans' employment problem in South Korea. And did you know that only 5% of the orphans who are kicked out, literally kicked out of the orphanage after their high school graduation, have financial means or can pay their rent? Basically, the remaining 95% have to room with several other orphans who are in the same situation, in a very cheap and small studio apartments, and that's very common. And among the remaining 95%, about 40% of them have only part-time jobs, or gets paid a minimum wage or lower than that. And the remaining next 60% don't even have a job, and they tend to bounce off from day-to-day works and really cheap jobs. And they this is a really astonishingly low number. Only about 4% of the kids who get kicked out of the orphanage after high school can continue in their education to college, because of the lack of the funding and financial support for the orphans. Most people, because orphans are not disadvantaged or handicapped in any way, think that it won't be a problem, but this causes a very significant problem. The very lack or absence of any system in this case is the root of the problem, because there's no any systematic way to guide orphans who lack any parental or professional guidance after they leave the orphanage throughout the society and job searching in every aspect. And this is exactly what I've seen throughout my several years since I volunteered in Nonshan Orphanage. There was 52 kids who were of the same age as I was, who had to leave the orphanage at the age of 19. And most of them didn't even have any clue where they were going to live or what they were going to do. And more than half of them chose not to attend normal high school that we attended. They instead chose to attend vocational schools that taught them skills. But that's also causing another problem because the immigrant workers, really high number of immigrant workers is flowing into Korea, are taking over their jobs. Since they don't have a college degree and the blue-collar job market is also saturated, their unemployment rate is really skyrocketing. And because a lot of people tend to say or think that orphans, as I said, they're not handicapped or does not have any disabilities, they tend to overlook the problem that is existing in the society, and they tend to say, oh, they're more fortunate than the other people who need help. But I believe that there's a bigger potential for improvement because, as said, orphans have the ability, but they lack the guidance or any kind of supporting. And my organization and I seek to bring in some kind of systematic guidance or counseling and sort of in job search. And if someone wants to go to college and if they can't pay the tuition, and we are actually even thinking about loaning out the tuition with a very low interest. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sean. I'm sure we've all heard about the drug-related violence happening across the border in Mexico, but have you ever stopped to think about the far-reaching impacts of it? Mexico has had one of the highest rates of kidnapping in the entire world, and there's been roughly 75,000 deaths since 2006 related to drug violence. But, as horrible as it is to say, these things are happening far away. They're just statistics I'll never face in my life, right? Consider this. Gang violence in Mexico usually occurs around the northern borders, the border that we share with Mexico, and especially in Ciudad Juarez, which is right across from El Paso, Texas. Current enforcement by Mexican officials has been so insufficient that many have called for the use of Army Reserve in defending our borders. And if the risk to national security wasn't enough, there are negative effects to our economy as well. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, the cost of illicit drug use totaled more than $193 billion in 2007 alone. To put that number in perspective, the 2011 U.S. budget for food stamps to help families in need was only $75 billion. And this is only half the story. In Mexico, the social effects brought on by an increase in drug use and violence are alarming. Businesses are extorted, tourism is slowed down, journalists are targeted for bombings if they speak badly against the cartels, leading to a lack of freedom of press. Bloodborne diseases such as HIV increase as more people begin using injection-based drugs like heroin. Migrants from the rest of Latin America on their way to the U.S. in search of jobs are used by the cartels for forced labor, and humans of all ages are trafficked for prostitution and drug production. This is clearly not an environment that we are all used to, but imagine for a moment that you are a high school student in Juarez. You have just graduated, making you already better than 47% of your peers who will never walk the stage. However, your school's curriculum was insufficient, and you didn't go to college. There are little to no vocational training available in your area, either from the public education system or private firms. When you try to find a job, you never get called back for an interview. You join the other 25% of Mexico's youth that are neither in education nor employed. The narco culture is all around you thanks to the cartel's brutal media suppression. Banners are flown in broad daylight advertising Los Zetas, one of the most powerful cartels. An entire genre of music called narco corridos is dedicated to glorifying the drug lord lifestyle. A recruiter hands you a pamphlet as you walk down the street, promising money, power, and respect if you join his gang. Later, you learn that one of your friends joined the cartel. You feel unsafe walking home at night, and you can't shake the feeling that your life is being wasted. What would you do? Current efforts by both governments have been ineffective so far. U.S. drug policy forces drug users to buy from the cartels, thereby feeding them with money to buy weapons and other things that they need for the more expensive crimes. Mexico's response has at times included military involvement, which only escalates the drug war, and in addition, A lot of the corruption, both at high levels of government and at the police level, makes most legislation completely ineffective. It's clear that something must be done, and it has to be done by people like you and me. I believe that if we reach the students before the cartels do, and if we improve education, step by step we can reduce the amount of membership in cartels and the amount of support they get from the public.